Okay, is Brittany here? Oh, I'm fine. I just want to come say hi. But after you get that, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, then you.
You guys. How can I miss it? He's only 6 foot. Yeah, I know.
But that's entirely.
So.
I need
Giant cans.
This is something. And he asked me because he saw in
Yeah.
why you're to have and you're there. I that's not my. It's like you all know it's not for us stuff like act not. Oh,
You got it.
So you. So yeah. I know what's our I thought of. Nice to meet you. I'd like to introduce you last. Yeah, staff is hard. I got you.
I don't see it. I used to have a place. Saturday. Morning 7 to get my bags.
Audit and I don't have. What I.
What is that?
Oh, we want to get everybody to get that in. And you turn up.
Yes, I hold up.
That better. Jamie? All right.
Sorry.
We got about 2 more minutes here. We can get started with everybody in and we should get ready to.
So there are. Thank you. Seats are free. Well, yeah, it's free. Yeah, they look, yeah.
That's actually, that's what I'm looking.
Yeah, I saw this like. No offense. Oh, there's. I didn't hear that. I saying that.
I noticed that. Hold on, I'm first.
So the hard work for this program stays beside. Saw your ES1. It's like it's just from
That one, that one, I guess with because my other ones got created together. But I think it's.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Secretary.
Okay.
Good morning.
I only read through that.
Thank you, Richard. Not that long.
I gave it to,
All right, better?
Yes.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the 2025 LPPA convention here at Pittsburgh, Marion North in Cranberry Town. We're happy to have everybody. Couple of quick announcements right before we get started. Go ahead and go over a couple of things. Guys, we have a lot of business to do in a very short amount of time. So I think we have roughly between 6 and 7 total hours of business that we have. We have bylaws, platforms, and judicial committee to get through. So I'm going to ask that we keep our discussion relevant and try not to duplicate the same. Yeah, that's it.
Very good.
Try not to duplicate the same argument. So you know, we all know Ken Krawchuk's the best. That's not here 6 times the microphone. That's what I. So we're gonna ask for that. Okay. If you guys did not hear me, we do have coffee that is right next door over here. They didn't put it in this room. They put it in the next room. Also, before we get started, the baskets that you see in the back, all except the one on your far, I guess everybody else is right here, will be done via Chinese auction. We have tickets that are being sold. Please see either Nate, Reese, or Mark to get those tickets. I'll let him speak about that, or somebody else speak about that right before we close out here. Yes, we have a special thing with the basket on your right hand side. We'll see that here in a little bit. So. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get into our reports.
They took it off.
If need be, you can give me one of the wireless mic. Oh, I heard it flick. No, yeah, no.
Oh, I hear it.
Okay. All right, that'll work. Maybe just a hair loud, that's fine. I don't want to go too loud.
You want a little louder?
Everyone wants to hear me. That's fine.
Well, that's my favorite part. How's that?
That'll work. Thanks, Reese, thank you. You might as well just stay right there, Reese, because we are at the credentialing report. Yep. Thank you very much, Secretary, for doing the report there.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so
The credentialing committee has credentialed 62 members of the LPPA for today's convention. That is the report.
give them the majority.
Okay, so Secretary, when you go to the page that has the count.
Where do you want to be?
Oh, the credentialing report, there's one of the sheets has a tab that has the vote thresholds.
Vote proportions tab, probably.
Yes, vote proportion right at the end. Okay, so that places majority at 32, 2/3 at 42, and 3/4 at 47. I would hear a motion to approve the credential report.
Motion to approve the credentials report.
Second.
Steve Westmoreland.
It's seconded. Is there any objection to the credential report?
Something with no objections.
Here.
You're right.
It can be.
Next, go ahead and move to the adoption of the convention rules. Secretary.
Thanks, Secretary.
Are we good?
Yes. Okay, hello, everyone. So, hi again. Governance Committee has reported out convention rules to be adopted by our body. They are essentially the same exact convention rules that we adopted at the last convention, with one minor change to the agenda. Because we have now switched to alternating year convention, and so the portion that details the convention had to be slightly adjusted to match what we actually will be doing this convention as opposed to last convention. So same convention rules that we've pretty much been operating with previously.
Mr. Chair,
Right,
I move to amend the convention rules to incorporate approve, disapprove voting. With the proviso that this amendment will take effect upon adjournment of this convention. So that we can all be totally familiar with it and be ready to implement it smoothly next year.
all right, thank you.
Secretary has the text.
All right, thank you very much. We have a motion to amend, to add the approve, disapprove voting into the convention rules. With provisos that it will be, brought up at the 2026 convention. We do have a second. Do I have any objection? Debate.
Mr. Chair, the convention rules are not perpetual, so they are adopted and brought every convention. So we're currently on this assigning, I guess for what we're doing here is we're trying to amend convention rules that don't exist yet. I would think that the best way forward on this is to, I guess, commit this to the governance committee for inclusion, I guess, or to be considered adding them to next year's convention rules.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion to commit to the governance committee, to be considered for the 2026 convention rules. Second. We do have a second. Okay, I'm sure we're gonna have some more debate on it.
Just for some context for some members who might be confused, previously, the convention rules that we had were perpetual and they were amended at conventions for like preceding conventions. But after the bylaws rewrite of 2023, the convention rules no longer became perpetual and they are adopted anew at each convention. And this is traditional. This is sort of the practice of most bodies, that convention rules are reported by a rules committee, which in our case would be our governance committee, and adopted anew at each convention. So just for some context for those wondering.
All right, thank you. Do we have any further debate on this? TJ Cody.
I would make a motion then to amend his initial motion to bring approve, deny voting to this convention.
Second.
Okay, so this is our third motion deep now in amendments, so I'm gonna let out a word as of now. So let's dispense with one of these and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any debate on the motion to commit to the governance committee? All right. Hearing none, motion to amend. All in favor of committing the disapprove to the convention committee, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. This has been committed to the convention committee. For the governance committee. Thank you. Okay, the convention rules. Thank you. Now we're back onto the convention rules. I appreciate it. We have any further debate on the convention rules?
Point of order,
Thank you, Ross.
Would it be in order to bring a motion to amend these rules to add approve, disapprove voting to the rules at this time?
It would be in order at this time.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to,
Be reconsidered.
Okay.
It's already.
thank you. Actually, it would not, since it's already been committed.
Okay.
So it would need to be a reconsideration.
That's not true, because they're two separate motions. He's he's amending today's motions, today's rules.
One was an amendment.
The original motion.
No.
The amended motion was made.
So the motion has already been considered. And it has been dispensed with already, so it would need to be reconsideration. So I would rule that out of the. Thank you. Any other debate on the convention rules?
We'll make a motion to reconsider.
Doesn't.
Which side?
I voted nay.
Then you can't make a decision. It would have to be somebody who voted for it. Reconsidering. Okay, any further debate on the convention rules? Hearing none.
Philip Reinhardt from Philly. So in this case, you're basically arguing that we should put this for the next convention, have it under committee. There wouldn't be a separate motion to say, hey, we want to maybe consider to try it this time to better inform that committee for the next time?
No, so the motion to commits that entire piece of that, the approve, disapprove voting to the convention committee. So that has already actually been dispensed with.
Okay, so it automatically pulls it out of this. Understood.
I would also like to point out that our only elections at this convention are for judicial committee, which is a multi-winner race, and I'm not exactly sure how the AAPB would work in a multi-winner race versus how we tried it last year, in the presidential debate straw poll.
That's in the text.
Yes. All right, thank you. Any further debates? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approving the convention rules, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And convention rules have passed. Moving right along, go ahead and move into the adoption of the agenda, Mr. Secretary. So the agenda does look fairly light, but we do have a lot of context in there, right? This time I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second, we have any debate? All in favor of approving the convention agenda?
Aye.
All opposed? Wow. That took a step down. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, Mr. Secretary, you're up with the adoption of the 2024 convention minutes.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move that the convention body, adopt these minutes.
Second.
Third.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any objection? Any debate? All in favor of adopting the 2024 convention minutes?
Aye.
All opposed? The convention minutes have passed. Thank you. Okay, so this is the point with we have the executive committee reports, okay? We decided to just go with the executive committee, and not have the other committees, the standing committees and the regional reps, because we are kind of strapped for time. So, please bear with us. I've also asked our, executive committee to do their best to keep it as brief as possible. I'm gonna try to go ahead and do that. I can't promise, but I will try. So, with mine here, we'll start with the chair. Okay. So the past year, the LPPA has been very busy. Starting with after convention, we went right into preparation for the 2024 LNC convention in Washington, D.C. Pennsylvania had an excellent showing. I want to thank everybody who went and attended. I would specifically like to thank three people out of our group. Allison Graham, Autumn Pangina. In credentialing and teller team at National. Without their work, it would have been a whole lot harder to get credentialed and everything else. So I really thank you. You really showed what Pennsylvania has to offer. I appreciate that. Our membership in Pennsylvania stands at 529 members. That is including 66 new memberships over the past year. So we are gaining new members, and it is looking on the right track. This year, we have raised a couple $1,000s with our newly minted fundraising committee. They have done a very good job, and they have a number of things coming up that are planned going forward as far as baseball games and some other things like that. So our fundraising committee is working well, and it's actually working excellently with our finance committee, who's getting us on track with budgeting and everything like that, obviously with the leadership of Nick Soselsky and Greg Perry. Right, so one of my favorites here is actually our affiliate support committee. This past year, we have either installed new or rehashed some old affiliates, being 5 total this year. We've added 5 new, or we've reclaimed 5 affiliates. In addition to that, for 2025 and 2026 going on, we do have 6 more on the slate that we are working on. So that is an excellent news. In addition to that, the affiliate support committee actually in the southeast area, thank you, Pete, has created 3 subcommittees in a couple of different areas. So some of you can get more local than your county affiliates. So I want to say a special thank you to Pete and Tony for their hard work with that. Considering we lost the chair about halfway through the year, they've done a really excellent job at getting that moving. So I appreciate your efforts there. Thank you. So most people who have been here the past several years, you'll notice that our convention agenda is a whole lot different, how everything looks. We felt it was important to get ourselves back into training and learning things, as we do feel it is extremely important. This being a municipal election year, focusing around local elections and how that works and how to get everything done, we felt was extremely important. So I want to thank Mark Zacco, Dave Romick, and the convention committee team for getting that together, getting our speakers and everything. In 2024, this should be no surprise, the LPPA did maintain minor party status. This is fairly normal in presidential years. However, I do want to state that all 4 of our local statewide candidates actually beat the threshold for that. So thank you again. John Thomas, you guys did an excellent job. So a couple of things going into 2025 as far as goals for the Libertarian Party. We do actually have a goals committee that has put stuff together for the board. But a couple of them are increasing membership. We need to get out there and increase membership. We need to pass a budget and continue on with our financial goals. We need to get libertarians elected, and we need to continue to push some of our directives like Defend the Guard and other things like that. So thank you all for your time. Mr. Executive Vice Chair, you're up.
All right, well, this will be easy to keep short, as most of what I had prepared to say, our chair has very eloquently already taken care of for me. So, but I wanted to join in with him on thanking our convention committee, led by Mr. Zacco. You guys put together a hell of a thing in a very short amount of time. So thank you guys very much. And also to thank the fundraising committee for all the work they've done this year. They've really been taking some risk and trying some experimental stuff to help bring some money into this party. And, you know, a lot of it has been working out. Some better than others. We were able to continue on with our family event at our family picnic at Canopus this year. That's a great success. We had a good turnout again this year. That's something we're looking to keep going year after year and make tradition here with the party. So if you guys can plan to maybe come out for that next year, bring the family. You know, so often we get to interact with each other, but we don't get to see the family and friends that we, you know, work so hard to, you know, push liberty for. So you guys can make it out. We're going to try that again this year, and hopefully that'll go well. As been a good year. There's been some good, there's been some bad. We probably have about 10 different opinions in this room of which things were good and which things were bad. But we've all made it here again, and we're all here coming together for liberty. Beautiful thing to see. So thank you all for coming out. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to our treasurer to report. Be much better than mine.
Craig, we're gonna save this for last. We're gonna save the best for last here. We're gonna go to Mr. Shaw for the Mr. Secretary.
Everybody who knows me knows that public speaking is not my forte, so then so be it. Last year, I worked on a number of different things. We did updates to the bylaws from the amendments that were passed last year. Updates to the policy manual, 2 different ones. Prepared convention delegates list and the presidential electors list that was turned into the state. I was a secretary for the delegation that we sent to the national convention, so there was a lot of stuff involved in taking care of all of that. I'm happy to report that our voting tallying process for the national convention went really smooth. We were almost always one of the first delegations to get all of our votes in, and we were one of the larger ones. Coming up here in 25, one thing that I'm looking at is that just some changes that have been happening at national. We're going to have to consider what we're going to do about storage for our membership information. So one of the goals I've got going on this year is that I plan to be working closely with IS to see what we might be able to do for a replacement for city. I would also like to apologize for my late publishing of the minutes from last convention. It did take a little bit longer than I'd expected and hoped, and I will promise you guys that those will be in your hands a lot more quickly this year. All right, thank you guys.
One of my favorite times to report in Mr. Treasurer. Go ahead and get his report.
All right, everybody, the treasurer's report is published the QR code list, so that everybody can get a copy of this to peruse at your disposal. This report is in the format that's put together, that's suggested by the Association of Nonprofit Accountants and Financial Professionals in the setup for a nonprofit tradition, and it includes all the four required elements there for financial reports. So this is in a standard format. If you do need help with reviewing it, I would point you to the ANAFP.org website. You get a document on how to read financial reports. I encourage you all. I'm trying to set a really high standard here for our treasurer's reports, and it helps, but these are in a very standard format. So if you guys learn how to read them and learn all the little quirks, then there's a lot of information there for you to get, and that will make us as an organization much better organized and efficient. Okay, so in summary from the reports, the assets at the end of 2024 came to $18,292. At the end of 2023, it was $24,886. So we did go down over the year. The important point on the net assets is the net assets without donor restrictions, which is basically our cash on hand at the end of the year were $13,374. Our revenues for the year were $41,337. In the report, there's the breakdown of how much came from memberships, how much came from donations, how much came from convention, other events, the LPPA store, and also includes in-kind contributions. So anybody during the following year that makes an in-kind contribution to the LPPA, if you're doing something to support the LPPA in your local area or something, and you make a contribution to that, please report those to me. I do want to, I will need to get information from the person that actually makes the donation. So that might, just like you were making a direct donation to the party, if you make an in-kind donation, I need the same information. The expenses for 2024 came up to $47,961. So last year, over $6,000 more went out than came in. A big factor was the convention last year. We're trying to get a hold of our convention expenses. Things, you may notice things are a little different this year. And I think that we're in a very good direction for being more financially responsible for the convention. There is a cash flow statement. It's pretty simple because we're a cash, that's normally meant for accrual accounting. But this is a formal report, so it's included. The last big page is the statement of functional expenses. This shows everywhere our money went in the different categories. And you can see our largest single expense. Oh, you've got my spreadsheet. Well, actually, it's my cheats. If we go to functional expenses, who is controlling that? And just scroll down there a little bit to the bottom, the totals. All right, our biggest expense last year was convention. So we know that's been an issue, and we're working on that and trying to scale that a bit. So this is the complete breakdown of everything that we spent money in and how I categorized it. Also in the actual report, I have footnotes that hopefully explain everything that I did. Okay, so that completes my report. Do I have any questions at this time? Question, Mark?
I mean, I don't think it'd be a treasury report, but so. No, my only thing is the in-kind donations. Do we basically follow the same protocols of like a candidate? So, like for instance, if I donate, I mean, it's my understanding that you could donate small services and small things for an event or whatever without reporting an in-kind donation, but if it's something permanent that the party keeps or a service that you would normally charge other people for that, you know, like, all right, for example, all these people donated gift baskets. We're gonna auction them off, but money's gonna go to the party. That's not an in-kind donation, correct?
And Bob brings up a really good point. We do have guidance from the state that we're supposed to be reporting in-kind donations. I also should mention that I've already filed, I filed by the deadline, the 2024 annual report, the campaign finance report, which did include in-kind donations there. However, we do not have a policy. And as a matter of fact, there are a bunch of things where we really could use a written policy. And I'll be working with the finance committee. I think we might get to those this year. We're also trying to bring in a budget. We're working on a budget as well. So we have a lot of things on our plate. But having a policy would help address those particular questions. Because right now, all we have is the guidance that's offered by the state, which is pretty limited and subject to interpretation. So I'm going to say right now that we are not going to consider the baskets as an in-kind donation. because we really aren't equipped to handle that sort of thing. But it's something that if we develop a proper policy for what we should consider in-kind donations, that would help you guys figure out whether you need to report it to me or not. So that's on our plate for the finance committee to develop.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Not put into baskets as an in-kind donation, but I think the basic rule of thumb is if it's something that the party would have to pay for, that
Yes.
the party money, and they could keep or are using those services, then that would be an in-kind donation. But if it's something for an event, or if we have a board meeting and somebody buys pizza, that's not a donation.
Yeah, it really is subject to interpretation, and the state does not enforce this. So it's my understanding under Pennsylvania campaign finance law that somebody can pull the report and challenge elements of it, but the state is not going to basically review it. Like if it was following federal, they would look at that and say, oh, you messed up, you didn't do this, that sort of thing. The state doesn't do that for us. But we are, by filing the reports, we're following the law, and we are making ourselves vulnerable to other people pulling it and challenging. To my understanding, that's never happened. But we want to be more relevant around the state. We want to be more relevant in people's lives. We have to have our house in order, because this is a way that we can be attacked. So we do need to do this the best way that we can. And as far as the in-kind donations, yes, that does include professional services that are volunteered. I wouldn't worry about that right now. I think if somebody's really going to give us a hard time, there are lots of other things they can pick on first. And like I said, we really do need to develop policy that covers our financial affairs, that the finance committee can use to review, and so that other people understand the way that we take care of our finances as well. So it's all downright. One of the things, we have an investment fund. There's over $3,000 in it. It's not returning diddly, but we can't really invest it in something that has better return until we have a written investment policy that sets the guidelines for the finance committee and making recommendations on how to invest in stuff. So we need to get our house in order. I'm hoping that we've improved things a lot with these reports, but there's still a lot of work for us to go. And like I said, we want to be more relevant. We do need to have our stuff because we're vulnerable if we're not complying with the law and doing the proper reporting. But finally, in-kind donations are also included in these expenses. So I report it the in-kind donations coming in, it gets included in the expenses going out. Nick.
Yeah, you briefly just touched on kind of what I was getting at to mention in the policies there. So you mentioned the investment fund. Being finance committee, that's kind of one of the things that I see as a potential asset for this party that I would like us to grow. But did you kind of explain to everyone what that fund is and how it works?
The Burley Edsel Endowment Fund?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have any real records, but from my interviewing from the old timers, the Burley Edsel Endowment Fund was basically money that was set up a number of years ago as a long-term, basically an endowment, something that is supposed to grow over time. People can make contributions to it, and it'll provide proceeds that we can spend in support of our activities. Now, it's not providing proceeds, and it's really small. It's more of a germ of an idea, and that's one of the things that I'm hoping that we get to encourage people to consider in contributing to the endowment fund. But yes, if we get it properly invested and showing it return. Now, there are laws in Pennsylvania that comply with federal standards about how endowment funds are supposed to be managed. I can tell you that we will endeavor to comply with those laws. But basically, we can, take for operations, the growth in the fund, profits from investments in the fund. And of course, once we, do have the investment fund providing some decent returns, we will have to start filing tax returns, because that's one thing that, political parties have to, include for financial reports is they do get taxed on investment returns. So if it gets over $100 a year, tax file, that, we shouldn't be afraid of that. Actually, we should be looking forward to that. I'd like to see more than $100 of investment returns, that can go towards the party. And again, we need to get our stuff in order so that, because as we become more relevant, there'll be, we'll be looked at harder. Did I answer your question? All right. Any more questions?
Hey, Ken Crouch from Cranberry County. The Burley Edsel Fund, been around for a while. Burley was a great man. Has any thought been given to moving that into, say, one of the online banking accounts where they're paying 3, 4, 5% interest? I mean, why is it not making any return?
That's an excellent question. I do not know why, and it's, the returns are even less than a savings account. I don't know the history. I have to, and we don't have any paper records on what happened to it. But I do know as an organization, according to the ANAFP, we should not be really making any sort of investments without having some sort of policy that's approved by the board. Because, I mean, I don't think that we want to invest it all in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin it's a wonderful investment for some people, but it's very unstable. It can go up or down. And I think for an organization that has long-term expenses, we want to be a very considered investment strategy that will provide us with good returns, but returns that we can count on. Again, all of that really needs a written policy. And, you know, we need to decide whether we're going to invest it ourselves under the finance committee, or whether we're going to hire a money manager, which would, you know, that he would take a cut of that. These are things that we need to have a policy to cover ourselves by. That needs to be approved by the board.
You know, Greg, you're very knowledgeable in these things. Can I ask you to write that policy and present it to the board?
I am gathering the information to write, to work with the finance committee together to policy. And I'm really hoping that my go-to resource, ANAFT.org, has suggestions for policies, which, by the way, I am a member of. I'm a dues-paying member of ANAFT.
One observation, every year the Commonwealth picks randomly different political committees to audit. My 2002 campaign for governor was audited. And they went through every single expenditure where it came in. They found a couple math errors, things like that, nothing of any import. But I was not asking for any kind of a policy. So I guess the question is, given we don't have a policy and given that they could audit us, what kind of exposure does that leave for us?
I think that's, well, that's an element of a legal question. And also, I'm not an accountant, so maybe an accountant can provide that. If I get audited, as you know, as an elected township auditor and somebody that's actually has audited other organizations.
But point of order, or rather, Mayor, you know, that I'm an AIFA accredited investment fiduciary analyst.
There you go.
And it's very specifically for devising investment policy committees, investment committees and so forth. So in my professional opinion, the liability is limited to really our fiduciary duty is to sort of oversee this, to make sure that nothing is going, what's the total amount of this?
$3,000.
$3,000 is a low liability. From the standpoint of any investment decisions, you should have an IPS, an investment policy statement. That's pretty straightforward. I've got templates that can be used that I can gift to. It's the point of liability that the standard is always in terms of procedures and processes, not performance. That's the phrase that everybody uses. And you just want to make sure that whatever is done is just by a systematic process. And I can give people the procedure and processes where that.
I'm glad I brought up the question. Thank you very much.
But yes, for the record, the goals that were adopted by the board do include having this policy set for the investment fund this year. So that is something that is on our plate to actively be worked on and hopefully have adopted so that it can be grown and can be invested.
All right, in the interest of time, if there are any further questions, feel free to contact me. You can always send an email to treasurer@lppa.org. If you have specific questions about any of my reports or about the annual report or about any of the way the party manages its finances. So treasurer@lppa.org. I'd be very happy to help you out with any questions you have. All right, thank you very much.
Before we get into our business, I'd like to take care of two things that are outstanding, two things that I think are pretty important and sort of in the announcements line. So first, while we still have the spotlight on Mr. Perry, if you notice that we talked about the Chinese auction earlier, and we get the tickets, there's only one basket that was not part of the Chinese auction. They straighten that out for me. Okay. This is, I believe, from Bradford County, right? And it says Greg Perry will shave half his head and half his beard, obviously. Head. All right. At convention and leave it till the end of convention unless Julie Perry outbids you. So we're going to go ahead and dispense with this now because if somebody else outbids, then I will see would even come convention. All right, so I would start bidding at $50.
100.
Yeah.
Does it have to be the same side of the head and? Does the finger get to the burn?
I will start bidding at $50 for it.
100.
We got 100 here.
Who's the auctioneer?
No.
150.
150, give 150. Go ahead, 200. 200, I got 200, I got 250.
250.
250, I got 250, I got 300.
Are you okay?
Mrs. Perry?
275, no.
All right, 275. 300, we got 300.
Sorry, 325, no.
350.
I think that lifts that much.
Yeah.
Lasers coming out.
Oh.
350.
You looked at a lot more. I had $1,000 and I was dumb. I'll use this.
That's gonna get zoomed in.
Buy Chinese auction tickets.
All right, that was fantastic. Thank you. We'll get that.
We are gonna live stream it, zoom it in.
All right, so before we get into this, I have one last thing, and I kind of apologize. I kind of skipped over our elections committee and the work that they did. I want to thank you guys this year for the hard work and dedication getting that out. And especially to Richard Schwartz. Thank you so much. You were an absolute rock star this year. Thank you. For those of you that don't know, Richard is an expert when it comes to the elections and the code and signatures and getting all that taken care of. And the LPPA would be in a much worse place than what we are with that, without Richard. So we did, we have a special award that recognizes Richard today for your 35 years of service and dedication towards the libertarian ballot access in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and beyond. Please come up here, Richard. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, a lot of you may know Pennsylvania is one of the leaders in the nation as far as getting libertarians on the ballot. And that is no small part in the elections and Richard. So that is an important committee since we are a party, political party. And I can't express how much I appreciate the work that you guys put in. Thank you, Richard. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move into business. I believe our main thing on the agenda today is the bylaws report, so I'm going to let the committee chair, Reese.
Long time no see, everyone. It's been unfortunate to have to follow such fanfare with bylaws, everyone. Exciting topic this time. So, for those that don't know, I am the governance committee chair, and we have been quite busy this past year working on reports for you all. The first of which was the rules report, and so now it's time for the second, the bylaws report. So as per the LPPA bylaws, the governance committee is responsible for creating bylaws report for the delegates at our annual convention. Such report must contain the changes that we are recommending and member submitted bylaws amendments and reasoning for why the member submitted bylaws were or were not recommended by the committee. This report is due by February 1st of the year convention. And in addition to those guidelines, the convention delegates at the 2024 convention empowered this committee to propose a revision of the bylaws. The governance committee this year is recommending a bylaws revision. However, its wording and function is not altogether new. The governance committee set out to develop new bylaws which draw on the organizational structures and functions from the 2024 bylaws and the pre-2023 bylaws, while also streamlining them by making them function with Roberts more efficiently. The goal of this revision was not to introduce any major foundational or structural changes, but rather to simplify the bylaws and make them easier to use and understand for the average member. So with that said, no major structural changes are meant to take place by this revision. It is drawing on the functions of the current bylaws which we have and the pre-2023 bylaws, which had a lot of valuable things in it as well. The point of this was to make the bylaws much more manageable and readable and simplified for everyone to be able to use them. The first section of this report is the bylaws revision that we are proposing. The second part of this report is a list of supplemental amendments to our revision for you to consider. You guys can choose what you want to do with these supplemental amendments, whether you wish to, add them into the report, add them into the revision, or you can even adopt the revision and then amend it and use these amendments like we were having a fresh bylaw report with just amendments instead of revision. Or you guys can just ignore them in their entirety. It's completely up to you all. And the inclusion of the supplemental amendments is not an endorsement of them. In fact, they're mostly issues that the bylaws committee couldn't agree on and instead wanted to put them to the convention delegates to have the power to decide. The third section of this report is going to consist of the member submitted amendments, which were submitted in our reasoning for their inclusion or not inclusion. They were generally not included because we were submitting a revision and all the amendments were to the current bylaws now, so they wouldn't be applicable. As well, to basically conclude with this sort of summary, the adoption of these bylaws revision would require a 2/3 vote of the delegates here at the convention. So that's sort of our preamble. So now we just sort of go into reviewing the actual document.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, guys, I know we are a little bit ahead of schedule, but just let's keep in mind it's 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we are breaking for lunch and some of our other things that we got to do on some of our trainings and stuff. So we have about an hour to do some of this. So we'll go ahead and bring it up to debate. If you're looking for it, it is on a QR code and it has been available for roughly 2 months for your review.
Have a point of information.
Point of information?
So you said, members have submitted, bylaw proposed changes and you didn't include all of them. What would be the mechanism if we wanted to bring up one of those changes as a body?
Well, we include them in support. We aren't recommending the body adopt them. So they're in this report. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, that's where they all are. And so if anyone wanted to move them, we could just say, I move to amend the report as for whatever the name of the amendment is, or so on and so forth. The system, it was member submitted amendments that were submitted by the deadline of January 1st.
They're all included in the report.
Everything that was sent to us before this is January 1st, if it was sent after that, we did not include it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do you have anybody else?
We're in debate on the,
Well, we don't have a motion yet to approve.
so we need a motion to adopt the,
All right, we do have a motion to adopt the 2025 bylaws report. Do I have a second? Second.
I would like to amend the motion to move, at least one members, and I think we should give an opportunity for some of the members. There's members submitted bylaw proposals that would, if passed, ignore a lot of other amendments. So in particular, I would like to move one amendment to the top. That would be revisiting the old bylaws. If that passes, there's no point in voting and
That would actually be what, a motion to
There
substitute
would be a motion to substitute
the bylaws report.
the one, this, what Mr. Project had provided.
so I would like to move to substitute.
Sorry, just that amendment was not submitted prior to the January 1st deadline, so it is not in this report. It can still be substituted, but just to be clear, it's not in this report because it was not submitted by January.
Okay, so the move to substitute, would that be after his motion is passed and then I move to substitute, or is it the appropriate time to do it?
Now's the appropriate time.
All right, so I would like to move to substitute to take up, I'll call it the vote for the bylaws.
Okay. Okay. Yes, okay, so what
So
we
my move to
procedurally,
substitute needs 2/3 vote.
what you're, yes, you're gonna need a consent vote to bring the motion to substitute.
Okay.
So your motion, if
So
you're
I'm
not
moving to see if the body would allow us to substitute.
correct. So that it'd be the motion to get a consensus of the body to substitute.
Okay.
Okay? Do we have any debate on this?
It's in your bylaws, it's not really a motion to suspend the rules, it's a consent vote, so it is. It doesn't adopt his motion to substitute, it just allows him to make the motion.
Correct. All right. Excellent, thank you. Debate?
next is also Westmoreland. I have, not certain what these, what the bylaws proposed are. I see in the paper presented here that, they contain subtle fixes for past troubles that few now remember. So this paper, if I'm reading it right, is saying that this is not just a reversion to former bylaws. This is saying that this is a whole brand new set of bylaws with different rules, different intricacies. And then, I'm also concerned that, we weren't prepared on this today with the way the schedule's laid out to go into elections. And I'm assuming if it's a reversion to the former bylaws, that's going to clear out certain positions. It's going to create new positions, put us into elections, probably clear some committees out and, create new committees and, all sorts of ramifications that I'm not sure if are there or not, so.
Thank you. Let me I see some kind of confused looks out here. I want just to be clear what we're doing currently, right? So we are talking about gaining consensus to bring this up. This isn't even a motion to substitute yet. This is to gain consensus to motion to substitute, okay? So this is basically just consideration for that, if we're taking a look at it. So just to make sure everybody's clear, we're not voting on the substitution now. We're voting on whether to bring the substitution up. Okay, thank you. Do you have something else?
No, I was actually gonna say something similar to it.
Okay.
On a debating part.
All right, perfect. All right. So thank you. Let's go ahead and, do we have any other debate on the consensus? Okay, I believe this will require a 2/3. Okay, this will require a 2/3 vote. So I'm going to ask for a standing vote. Okay, just to be fairly clear on it. Okay. So all those in favor of, would be considering the motion? Okay, all those in favor of allowing Mr. Pizzacco to make the motion for substitution, please stand up.
What was this vote? What was the vote? Point of information?
All those in favor of allowing Mr. Pizzacco to bring the motion for consideration for substitution. Okay. All opposed? You guys said all opposed? Okay, that is not 2/3, that fails. Okay. Thank you. So now we are back on to our motion with the second to adopt the 2025 bylaws report. Cavalier, you have some?
Yeah, I would like to move to add the proviso that the bylaws amendments would not take effect until the convention adjourns, signed, die, because it is best practice to have bylaws changes that are this extensive take effect after convention to avoid any unintended and unforeseen consequences from swapping governing documents in the middle of convention. One specific concern that I have that has been discussed is the rewrite makes subtle changes to membership requirements, which might have credentialing implications for this convention. And in order to avoid that, we should include a proviso that it doesn't take effect until after we adjourn.
Second. Thank you. We have a motion to make these bylaws effective at the end of the 2025 convention signed up. We do have a second. Do I have any objection or debate regarding this? Excellent. All in favor? All opposed? That amendment passes.
Thanks, everyone.
I don't want to decredential have to be.
Right, exactly. I figured that would be split. I figured that would be a point.
So I have one minor amendment that was taught on this. The secretary does have this in text, but basically it comes out, I believe, two places where the voting thresholds, included some extra verbiage accidentally, saying club all convention delegates registered at annual convention, meaning that would be everyone who is here, not everyone who is present in voting. So, we wanted to just strike those words so that it's the 2/3, 3/4 of those present in voting, as would be normal, procedure. And, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion in a second. And, Mr. Secretary, is that the stuff that's up there now? Yeah, okay. And, basically that would change the wording in there from all members to all members present and voting.
Well, it actually just strikes anything that says of all delegates part of the convention to, which was put in meeting with people who are in the room. Striking that, that's what it comes to mean.
Thank you. I apologize. I should have paid more attention. Thank you. All right, so, we'll be striking all the 3/4 of all delegates of the party convention. Do I have objection or debate?
Object.
Okay, would you like to speak to that? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. All right, if there's no other debate regarding this, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
You had somebody,
You
right?
had somebody who was rising in the back.
Oh, okay. Come on down. I apologize. Let's go. I didn't see you back there, so.
I just wanted a little bit of clarification. Okay, so this. 3/4 votes? Who exactly would that include?
So, well, what this is doing right now is, the current verbiage of this, what it would mean is that anyone who was a registered delegate at the convention, whether they had left or if they were not in the room for some reason, or, didn't want to vote, would be counted towards that 3/4. And, the way it generally works, except on extremely important votes, like we might do it on a statement of principles or something, or some other votes that require the entire number. But because people are in and out and might miss a vote, if we go by 3/4 of all delegates, that number that was shown at the beginning, that sole number would be the threshold to hit, and then you run into basically quorum issues before quorum even kicks in, and it turns into a mess versus keeping it the standard way of whoever's in the room and voting is the numbers that are counted on a particular vote.
Okay, so that like that's if we have to vote later on something and that somebody doesn't show up, then that's not considered.
They're not counted, they wouldn't be counted in that total number of people voting because they're not here voting. If it's already, then they would.
So traditionally, let's go with the 2/3 vote. Let's say there's 150 people credentialed. Traditionally, let's say 150 credentialed, but only 100 vote to adopt the bylaw. So that would make 2/3 of that. 100 would be 67, so it would take 67 to pass.
Yeah.
And that's traditionally how it's done. Here, the bylaws committee made a slight oversight in wording this. So the way it's worded, it would be, since there are 150 credentialed, it would mean that the vote threshold is actually 100 to get to the 2/3 of that 150 instead of the 67 of those voting. So to kind of bring it back in line with how it has been traditionally. Like I said before, the preamble, our goal was not to make giant changes to how we function, but instead to just make things more efficient. And so we wanted to make this amendment to bring it back to what it was meant to be and fix a slight oversight. Did that make sense?
Thank you. And thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Johannes.
I was just going to speak to Johannes Earnhardt, Allegheny County Chair of the Judicial Committee currently. Yeah, I think at this point, this simply simplifies things rather than having people out of the room holding the rest of the convention hostage, people active in voting. It just simply eradicates anything that could be going on politically or otherwise. You're in the room, you're eligible to vote, be here if it's important. If not, you're not going to be part of the count that's being considered for your vote. Simple enough.
Thank you. TJ Coven.
TJ Cozen, Bucks County. I rise on objection to this. If you want to show up to convention, then you show up to convention, you stay on the floor and vote. If you want to leave early, that's your business and you're affecting the body. You should be planning to stay for the entire convention, not leaving early to affect the delegates. If you're going to be a delegate at convention, stay for the whole convention. It's that simple. It's always been that way since I joined the party. I know older members that have been in the party 10+ years, and it's always been this way. I don't think we need to change it now.
Thank you. Henry Howard.
Henry Howard from Allegheny, Butler County. Traditionally, to amend the statement of principles, we've always required a higher threshold vote than just general votes for other things. And would it be appropriate to divide this question at this point to leave the part about amending the statement of principles to a 3/4 vote of all the delegates and all other votes requiring a supermajority to be just those present and voting?
Okay, I believe it should be motion to divide. Yes,
Okay, I'll make that motion then.
so we have a motion to divide, let me just make sure that I get this right. Motion to divide, to include the supermajority for the statement of principles.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Do have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and, get that divided. Okay, so let's all in favor of the division, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Thank you. Passes. Thank you. Okay, so we go ahead and, which one should we bring up first?
The one that is first, so the platform.
Okay, so the platform, so we're back onto the platform fee debate for the platform. Do we have any more for that?
Oh, the statement of principles.
Statement of principles, which will require the supermajority, even if you're for that of the entire movement. Go ahead.
I would argue that it isn't an anomaly there. I think it's always been 3/4 of the delegates registered, and I think it's that way at the national level. And I would caution against loosening that requirement up, because I think it's there to protect the statement of principles against willy-nilly changes, like they say. And so I would argue against that change.
Just for some context, so I was under the impression that it traditionally had been just a 3/4 vote of those present, but Roy's been around a lot longer than I have, so maybe we're wrong here about this. It's been most traditional, so just wanted to add that.
Thank you. I would also object to it. I think you'd end up bringing all these other problems. If somebody goes to the bathroom, we're constantly gonna be having to figure out who's there, who's voting. Or if somebody's a delegate and they don't find a certain vote as important, they happen to walk out for it, then they're probably gonna be voting no for that. Right, so I think it adds in a bunch of extra problems instead of just keeping it as who came here as a delegate, who's already here. And I think it just adds more problems to it overall.
Okay, thank you. And your name, I'm sorry.
Philip Ryan.
Philip Reimer. Okay, just as a reminder, whenever you come to the mic stand, especially if you've been out there before, go ahead and give your name, your county, or title. I would appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Considering some of the statements made, I think this division was the right move, and I think that keeping on a statement of principle, the higher threshold is a good call. And on the next one, we're going to, I would say is a little bit different, but I would actually kind of support this.
Okay, thank you. Now, keep in mind that the motion was divided, and you're specifically speaking about the statement of principles division portion of this at this point in time. Okay, thank you. Do I have any other debate? All in favor of keeping the higher threshold for the statement of principles, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Thank you. That passes.
I guess point of order on that. I think we voted the way that we should have. I think we wanted to on that. I think that was a little bit confusing the way it was worded, because what's up there is the amendment, so we should have voted down the amendment. Sorry, right?
And yes, vote adopt, though it's lower. We wanted to.
You wanted to do it. You were trying to do what I think the body wanted there, but yeah, I think we did it backwards.
You said the right words, but I think it was addressing the wrong question.
The wording.
Okay, as long as.
Wording was backwards, so I'm used to that.
Yeah, I think. That we should have voted no on the amendment versus yes to keep it as it is.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying. Thank you for that. I tend to be backwards on that. Thank you. Okay, so for clarification, we are keeping the higher threshold for the statement of principle. Okay, let's move on to the second part of this provision. And that would be for the getting rid of the rest of that wording, correct? Without the statement of principle. Am I missing something there?
Still on the second part of the threshold amendment.
Correct, correct. So we're on to the second part of the threshold. Okay, which is the 2/3 for bylaws, correct? Okay. Any further debate on this? Awesome, okay. All in favor of the threshold of the 2/3 for the bylaws? Right?
You all in favor of striking that language?
Okay, thank you. All in favor of striking the language of all the convention delegates registered at the annual convention in those articles? Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. All right. Any other amendments? We're gonna get through bylaws.
So we went through, so we're still on the main revision.
We're back to the report.
Right.
Yes, we're back to the report at this point in time. Do we have any additional amendments? If not, we can move to debate on the main motion to approve the bylaws. If we don't have any of that, we can vote.
Point of information.
Point of information. Preston Smith.
President Smith, Westmoreland, can you state whether or not this went through a legal review and who would have possibly done that legal review?
Well, yes, he can.
By legal review, you can like have a lawyer look at it.
Correct, yes.
Yes, on the committee was one Mr. Rob Coburn Esquire. I'm sure most of you have heard of him by now. He was very instrumental in helping write this bylaws proposal. And so he has gone through it tooth and comb. So if anything sprung up that was a legal issue, I'm sure he would have brought it to our attention. And there were times where we were worried about a legal issue, and he calmed our nerves and said, no, this is fine. So I hope did that answer your question?
Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. TJ goes.
TJ goes in Bucks County. I would like to amend, I had submitted an amendment for conflict of interest under the old bylaws. I would like to add that amendment under, board of directors. We would create a section 8 for conflict of interest.
Okay, do we have that wording?
Yeah, it's in the bottom.
Okay, let's go ahead and grab that. So that way everybody can see it here.
Technically, the submission would be Article 3, Section 7 under the old bylaws. We'd just be putting under Section 8 under the board of directors. And then I could speak to it.
Sure. So, let's go ahead and get that up so we can see it. And then we'll line.
Which one is it?
It's the conflict of interest, Article 3, Section 7. It's this one. If you search it,
This is probably the most cooperative group of people I've seen at the libertarian event in a long time. Page 32.
Page 32, keep going.
All right, so you can see it says Article 3 membership, Section 7, which is actually in the proposed bylaws would actually be Section 8 of that. Okay, so we do have a motion to adopt this information. Would you go ahead and please read that? Don't get a second for that. Yeah.
All right, so basically we'd be striking the language. So currently it reads, well, currently it's not in there at all. So the bylaw would read, the conflict of interest requirements apply to any member who campaigns against a libertarian candidate running for public office. For the purposes of this section, a libertarian candidate is defined as follows. 1, the presidential and vice presidential candidates selected by the delegates at the Libertarian Party National Convention. 2, the statewide candidate approved by the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. 3, candidates for local or congressional office endorsed by an LPPA county affiliate. Members engaged in any form of campaigning against a libertarian candidate as defined above will be required to disclose this conflict. Failure to disclose within 60 days will result in disciplinary action, including suspension or termination of membership. This provision ensures alignment with LPPA's mission and protects the integrity of libertarian candidacies across all levels of government.
Thank you. We do have a motion. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. We do have a couple seconds. We're gonna have objection or debate. Nick?
Yeah, so a couple things to consider on this is that, while the intent I think is good, what this is doing is it's applying to any member, so that's anyone who who pays for a membership, who signs the statement of principles and, membership requirements. And when we're talking about enforcing something against any and all members, as active as they are or not, that becomes a bit of maybe a witch hunt over what member here, there, where, go stalk someone's Facebook, if they post something positive about some other candidate or this or that. And so I think what this would do is tie the board up potentially, if people wanted to, with just disciplinary motions against people who may not be involved. And, if this were to come, I would recommend it be done through, it would be applying to people, if you wanted to have some sort of conflict of interest thing. I would think it would apply to people who would have some sort of power in this, so leadership in the party, something like that, versus the average person who, may be, some sort of passive member on this. And I would also put it as a policy governing the board versus the board and party leadership versus putting it into the bylaws and coming up with the ramifications that come from it. So that is kind of where my mind is on this, is that we need to consider, this applying to any members being a wide net to cast, and could be applying to a lot of people who aren't, who aren't active in any way, shape, or form. And so yeah.
Thank you.
Brandon Batcher, Bucks County. I want to echo some of Nick's comments. Sorry, my non-closed open. I want to echo some of Nick's comments. I am warm to the intent with this language here, but I also share some concerns about some of the verbiage in here. The way that it reads currently, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's going to be hamstringing a lot of our leadership here, where it says that failure to disclose will result in disciplinary action, and it also, said including suspension or termination of membership. If that changes to a may, or something like that, that allows a little bit of latitude, but I would be concerned about some of the ramifications of having a policy like this, and then anybody being able to say, hey, this was a failure to disclose, and therefore now I can dictate what our leadership must do, and if they don't follow that, now they're in violations of bylaws. This could set off kind of a cascading effect, in my opinion.
All right, thank you.
President Smith, Westmoreland, I, agree with something that, and Nick had said. I think that making it for any member is a little bit broad, and I think that as libertarians, we should maybe consider that not everybody's going to agree with every single thing or every candidate is selected. And I don't think you should be allowed as a member to go collect signatures or run a campaign for a candidate who you feel may represent you better. I'm certainly not opposed to elected board members, but I think this is overly restrictive.
Thank you. And just as a quick reminder of the repetitiveness.
Sorry.
No, we're good. We're good. We're going. We are actually flying through some stuff. So we're actually.
Playing around Fairfield County. I agree with all the senators too, which is why I'm up here to try to make this event.
Okay.
To add the words after any member in an elected leadership position in the LPPA or any local affiliate.
Okay, can you do me a favor and let's find a way to write that down and get that to them so we can actually see the amendment.
Want me to write stuff down? Come on.
Yeah. We got items up here and, let's get you some pens and paper. My AED did not.
No, you're fine.
Just fine. The change will to May as well.
Oh, two different amendments or no?
It's a seven. Same amendment and keep that now. Everybody was one.
Probably do two separate amendments. Okay, that's fine. Let's hold off for just 1 second here before we get the, I got you. That's fine. You want to? I gotta be like. Just share the house. Thank you all for your patience. You're talking.
Got the cell back, it's from him.
The second year, so fast. Thank you, Mish. Just while we're waiting for that, we want to take a hot step back and take a look over the beautiful baskets. No, we're not. This is the thing about super basket. This basket has no historical back in it. Just it does basically.
What's up, John?
History.
Stay here last night or you drive home? Okay. I didn't realize it's snowing out there. Yeah.
I'm trying not to tell you too much. No, they are.
Yeah, I actually, we don't have smaller than I like.
Oh, okay.
And I was, oh.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We're not really.
Your way.
So while we're waiting for this to come up, just to give everybody a point of personal privilege with myself here, if we're gonna have amendments that are more than just a couple set, like couple words, yeah. I mean, if you can have that update and set and give it to the secretary.
Like the people who are arguing, it's supposed to go for against, back and forth like that. So this kind of is the fault against. Oh my. So I'm like, does anybody know? And these are the bylaws that we're trying to enact. This was on the.
So
There is section 7 articles.
Current amendment to the original.
This is amending Article 3, Section 7. There is no Article 3. This will be adding Section 7 to Article. There's like only 3 sections or 3 sections.
No,
there's 4 sections in Article 3. I'm not sure where the 7 comes from.
Yep. So, okay, so we're going to be. Do we have a second on Mr. Durazio? We do have a second. We're going to move to debate on this, the amendment to the amendment. So the blue lettering and the blue lettering only is what we're currently talking about, my friends.
This is your
Okay, so we'll go.
How many?
Go here first.
I don't have anything.
Okay, you don't have anything, then we'll go get them.
Intent behind this.
I missed a lot of the state conventions the last couple of years. Okay.
The body of the party or how it operates. I think the big fear is that people, work for a campaign and then come in and modify the party or act in bad faith for the party. And I think the way it is now, it's going to be for leadership. That doesn't include you saying coming to the next convention and voting. So you can have people just come in, only work for Republican candidates and then come here completely in bad faith. Unless there's a mechanism to stop that.
There already is a mechanism. Yes, we do have provisions in our bylaws for seasoning and so much voting. And registered libertarian, it's be a registered libertarian, we have a couple of provisions in our bylaws.
Conversation. That doesn't stop somebody from going forward if you want to. Well, it is because it extends to beyond just the people on the board, it's to the members. I think the point of it is.
Rising in opposition to this because it is too specific. No, we would like to suffer Robert. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're doing this against any member
Because I think
the intent is to enforce this against any member. This, what is considered failure to disclose will result in disciplinary action, which means what's going to happen in that situation is that every single person that happens to walk through that door is going to have to background check and dug up through campaign finance and whatever they show.
All right, guys, hey, let's come back to order. We're having problems hearing this information and stuff. So if we could please take our seats and get back to order so we can get this gone. Thank you very much.
What this will do is basically necessitate, like, basically taking through anyone who's showing up, that's the intention, anyone showing up to conventions, social media, campaign finance, reports, whatever, figure out how they supported us, another candidate, and then enforcing a provision that leaves no option on that. So that would mean anyone that you're subject in any form of campaigning, is that a retweet, is that a share of something that someone did, actually something that someone said? Is it a comment on it, or what is any form of campaigning? So that's the intention of why we want to keep it. If the intention is to make it broader than elected or appointed leadership, you're opening up a giant can of rabbit holes, a giant can of worms here on what this would require the party. Bureaucracy and invasiveness of being it. Something to remember to figure out.
Right. Thank you. Now, we have either not, mic stand, this is more like a libertarian convention than I remember.
I have a problem with, someone being able to say, well, you can't be a libertarian anymore, because I mean, how can you be a libertarian if I'm a libertarian? Has to say you're not a libertarian. That's all I want.
Thank you.
So, I am standing against this, both the green language and blue language. Because I think that we need to endorse freedom of speech.
Yes.
And as Nick was saying, that campaign against, what in the heck does that mean? I ran for United States Senate and I had the backing of a lot of you and I appreciate that. But I will say I was a pro-life libertarian candidate and a lot of you were against that portion of my platform. I support your right to say, I disagree with John Thomas on that issue. And I don't think of your libertarian membership because you disagree with somebody who's running under the libertarian platform. That is the libertarian position, to be able to speak your mind regardless of whether or not that is 100% in alignment with somebody who's running for office. This is not a party about a cult of personalities. We should not be worshiping one another.
We will get to you, but we'll go back to Ben.
I'll try not to be repetitive. I'm Ben Heckman, delegate from Allegheny County. I'm standing in opposition to this amendment. We're supposed to be in opposition of monopolies. We shouldn't have a monopoly on, support.
I think it's also important to keep in mind that this amendment puts like the party over liberty as a concept. You know, if there happens to be other candidates that are a better choice, maybe that's the case. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So I just, a more narrow objection to this, if I'm coming from darkest Appalachia, so speaking for those rural people that are here, a lot of the times, if we're in local county, that kind of stuff, we don't have libertarian choice, and we might be very enthusiastic about somebody outside the party. If this is too broadly construed, that means we can't use our judgment to champion a liberty candidate who's outside of the party, and very often we don't have any other choice.
Thank you. And your name?
I'm going back to the same guy.
Thank you.
Brandon Gardner, Allegheny County. I rise in opposition to any version of this, and I'd just like to offer a practical example of why, if we're blessed here in Pennsylvania to have the next Ron Paul, for example, materialize in the state, and they decide to run as a major party candidate, I don't want any member or the leadership to be put in a position where their membership in the party is in danger for endorsing that person.
Morgan Lucas, Butler County. Libertarians tend to be disagreeable. You know, we see that. So I feel like something like this would open up a whole can of worms to Dick's point of, let's say, oh, wait, you know, even in the language, any form of campaign politics, isn't something to help. Or you saying, oh, hey, you know, this candidate running for office with another party, or even as another third party. Hey, this guy's saying something pretty great, you know, I tweeted, it should someone be suspended from party? So I think this opens up too many cans of worms for expulsion, disciplinary measures that don't really need to be happening. Libertarians are disagreeable, and I think by that nature, you're opening yourself up to a lot of.
Very good, thank you. And that's just a reiteration, we're starting to get Joe Bissell, Bucks County, I don't get all the questions. I'm concerned with the call. All right, are we ready to calling the question? All in favor of calling the question?
We have a solution that it would solve calling this question anyway, if Nick could have a mobile.
Yeah, the question's already been called. So.
Wait,
Question's been called.
Calling the question. Suggestion, all opposed.
Hey.
All opposed and calling the question? Nay?
Hey.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this again. We got a little bit of, we did see an objection. Let's go ahead. All in favor of calling the question on the amendment to the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed. Calling question is passed. Thank you. All right, so with that, all in favor of the blue portion of this being added to the amendment in an elected or appointed position of the LPPA or any local affiliate, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That was pretty close, and that was not very enthusiastic. So let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and do a standing vote for this. Okay, so this is going to be for the blue and the blue only. Okay? For the amendment. Okay, if this vote passes, this language will go into the amendment to be looked at and passed. Does that make it clear? Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, excellent. Mr. Secretary, we ready to take a standing vote? Okay, excellent. All in favor of this amendment, please stand. Thank you. Please sit. All opposed, please stand. And we do have an abstention. Thank you. It looks like that motion fails. All right. So let's go ahead and remove that out. You might as well just leave that up, because I believe you do have another amendment coming to it.
Just the blue line.
Just the blue line, correct?
Yes.
It just refers to the old language.
Yeah.
We're in this. There it is. We're gonna set it against.
Take out the blue line. Good.
Just some information about the bylaws report for everyone. There is a section on disciplinary procedures and, the grievance why the one can be disciplined as well. So that's even considering how this amendment would interact on that.
Okay. Thank you. Real quick update. We are at 10:44, so we got about 16 minutes till we break for lunch and training session. Okay, Nick.
Yeah, so, through some conversation, what I believe we want to do on this is intention on this is to be governing, I believe, the board and its leadership and parts, which comes in my mind to a policy, policy manual, governed by the board versus that. And, so what we want to do here is like we did last year where we had a disagreement on something, so whether it's in a bylaw, like it were.
Give us two legs.
Or in a policy.
Like you're not competing against
It's also workshops on this language that needs to be done with the board thing.
I'm against.
Because it goes like, it still says any, it says any member, it says any form, this, that, disclosure, there's a lot of. Funds that need to be. It's student policy that's that's not going to be weaponized against facing, so it's positional.
Right, thank you. So the government committed to the governance committee?
Governance committee or the board of directors, and they are not sitting here for minutes, or. That's the worst becomes anymore.
They're gonna make sure that. We're gonna get it right.
Basically committed to adopt policy on Sunday governance and us with workshop and over long.
I have to go. So I have to do work with the board meeting.
All right, so can we make a concise solution?
No. I think.
And they
About that governance, where we can evaluate how it reacts, how to make it work with the disciplinary.
Committed to governance for
policy.
Okay, so you're motioning to commit this amendment for workshopping determination to the governance committee. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any debate or opposition on this? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. This is to commit this entire amendment to the governance committee for workshopping and determination. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Motion passes. We have any additional amendments to the bylaws report you would like to bring at this point?
Is that including amendments from the floor?
Yes, however, if your amendment was not submitted, you need to have a motion to approve to consider it. So if you have an amendment that was not part of the bylaws report as an individual, you would need to have a motion to consider and then a motion to amend.
That's done now?
That's right now, it can be done now.
2/3 vote.
Yes, there's, it would essentially be 2/3 twice. So if you have an amendment, go ahead, bring it on up.
Beechworth Southeast Regional Rep. I'd like to propose an amendment. We've been very active with the affiliate support committee this past year. And the regional reps, what they do is affiliate support. Currently, to be on a standing committee requires a board approved vote. I'd like to amend it that the one exception would be that regional reps upon election are automatically on the affiliate support committee.
Second.
All right, thank you. So just let's be clear on this, how this is gonna work, okay? We need a 2/3 vote to consider, right? And then we're gonna need a 2/3 vote on the amendment. Point of information.
One second.
What she wants, okay,
Language.
exact, do you have exact language? Can we write something up?
I'm getting it for you.
Let's go ahead, just get something written up and I'll explain what you're trying to do here while you're writing that up.
One of information.
Yes.
Chair. Our officers, which regional reps are considered, are they on all standing committees?
No, that's just.
As non-voting members.
It's just, as non-voting members.
Yes.
Okay, so this would be to automatically make them voting members on it versus just being.
Correct.
Okay, so it is a change.
So the section that specifies that they're not.
Yes.
And it's that. No.
Article 9, section 1.
Article 9, section 1. Go ahead. Let's get you guys up here with him to get this language in there and taken care of.
And Mr. Chair, to be clear, the main motion under consideration is the revision, which is the first file proposed to correct.
Correct. The substitution failed. So
Right.
this is the bylaws report from the governance committee. And this would be an amendment to that section. I think it's at Article 9, section.
I just want to clarify that assuming we do approve the main motion, that does not mean that we're out of bylaws completely because there are
No,
still.
correct.
Right.
This is an amendment. It's going to be first an amendment to consider, or I'm sorry, a motion to consider this. Then we consider it and pass it, and then that basically as an amendment into the bylaws, we can pass the bylaws after that. So we're basically essentially three.
I just wanted to clarify that, if the main motion passes, there can still be member offered bylaws amendments from the floor if they want.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that they don't have to rush to get it in now.
Right.
But here's those comments. If they're automatically made voting committee members, and then they have so for doing that's like also warrant.
While we're waiting here, we're getting close. Mr. Bazzacco, do you have a couple announcements you want to go ahead and give since we're about time. Still.
I think.
So while we're waiting for this, which I appreciate the patience, we'll let Mark speak about what's going on here very shortly.
Okay, yeah. Right,
Yeah, just a couple small things. Greg already touched on it earlier, but these baskets, we've been trying to organize with labels and boxes. That's auctioning off. There's, I think, 15 different baskets from the county, so great job on people getting the baskets here. So basically, what we do, you guys are familiar with the Chinese auction, but you're gonna buy raffle tickets, you're gonna put them in a box. And then 10:30 tomorrow night, we're gonna go open up the box and just pull a number out. If your number gets full through the basket. If you want to purchase tickets for the band, you're not gonna be here at 10:30 on Saturday night. So just write your name, and phone number, just name, full name on the back of the ticket. And we'll make sure you get your basket. Each walking around right now with yellow tickets. The tickets, I mean, the values of some of these baskets are all over the place. They're anywhere from $150 baskets all the way up to I saw a couple baskets that were $400 and $600. So we're selling the tickets for $5 a ticket. Get yourself 5 tickets for $20.
Yeah, you said tomorrow night, did you mean tonight? Today's Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday night, 10:30. Thank you, Beth. The only other thing is, we're gonna take a break. I guess you guys all saw the agenda, so we're gonna take a break for lunch in a little bit. And then we had a bunch of trainings set up. Just so you have an understanding of how these trainings are gonna work, we're gonna run one training right into the next, so we can squeeze in as many as possible. So there's gonna be trainings in the room, I guess to your immediate right, my immediate left, there's a room there. We're gonna go training in that room. Then as soon as that training's over, we're gonna do training in this room, back in here, you can take your original training test. And then as soon as that one's over, we're gonna go back to that room. You don't have to attend all the training, you can attend them all, but we're just gonna, as soon as one's done, the next one's gonna start. We're gonna keep on rolling. That's why we have 2 rooms for this. So that's all gonna start at 12 o'clock. We did switch the agenda of that around a little bit. You guys took off as somewhere to be, so he's supposed to be presenting first at 12 o'clock, and then Kenny Crawford's gonna be you guys spot. Yeah, I guess if anybody has a question about how that works, it should be pretty simple, but let me just.
I appreciate it. All right, so we now have the amendment wording up here. Okay, so if you see in the green, the regional representatives will be voting members of the affiliate support committee. Okay, so we do have that. Do I have a second on that? Okay, we have a second. Discussion, debate, objection. Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All in favor of this amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Yay. The motion passes. Thank you. All right, we are 5 minutes out, so I think we're actually cruising. We're doing well. So let's try and get one more evening.
Mr. Chair, let's accomplish something big before lunch today. We've heard some amendments. This will be, we do have the ability to amend afterwards, but we're in a good spot here. And I will call the question.
Okay, the question has been called on the bylaws amendment. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Objection?
Point of order,
Yeah.
don't we have an amendment to the bylaws? Still on the table?
No, we just had.
No, one consideration of that, not actually amendment.
You're right. Thank you for the procedural update. Thank you. So let's get this procedural.
Sorry.
No,
Tony's fault.
No, that's perfectly fine. Thank you very much. We still would have had 2/3 on that. So let's go ahead and move to the vote on the amendment now. Okay, this is the actual vote on the amendment. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you with that. All in favor of this amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Yay.
Passed. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I will once again call the question.
All right, question has been called on the bylaws report.
Seconded.
Okay, it is second. Objection, discussion. All right, hearing none, this is a 2/3 vote. Okay, thank you. All in favor of passing the bylaws report from the governance committee, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Is when we come back this afternoon, if there are any other amendments that we would like to make, we can still make those amendments. After that, we'll move on to platforms and resolution. But folks, we are cruising along, and I appreciate your patience. At this point in time, we could probably be a good place to recess.
What I was gonna recess until 1 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Okay, we have a motion to recess.
Second.
Yeah. I'll give a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See you guys at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna make it. They got